The fuck did I just see? Nope. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, or just welcome if you're new here. So I went to see Nope, which is a sci-fi horror thriller written and directed by Jordan Peele. Now, when I first saw this movie poster, before I even saw the trailer, I was hella excited because y'all know I love me some horror and I love me some Jordan Peele, but I also just really love watching Jordan Peele's journey within this genre and seeing Black people reclaiming their space in this genre as well. So just a super brief synopsis of the film. It's about two siblings, OJ and Emerald, who after their father passed away, try to continue to run their family business, which is training horses for movies and TV. And when they discover an alien lingering or hovering over their ranch, they put in all this effort into trying to capture it on camera, particularly so that they can keep their business afloat and preserve their family legacy. All right, y'all, I just was not feeling this movie. Like, I wanted so badly to love this movie, y'all, but nope. But don't get me wrong, y'all, I didn't hate it. Just let me talk about what I did like about this movie. First off, this movie was beautifully shot. Like, Jordan Peele never fails to give us some amazing visuals, but those IMAX cameras really do make a difference. The next thing I really loved was the casting. I am a big fan of Daniel Kaluuya. I think he's an amazing actor, and I think he always does such a great job of conveying emotions and thoughts without even using dialogue. And as for Keke Palmer, I think people need to do a better job of giving her her flowers because she truly is a talent. Like, she really bodied this role. I think there was a really nice contrast between Keke and Daniel as actors. Their characters in this movie were so different and they portrayed them so well. And also Steven Yeun's performance was so spot on. He is also a brilliant actor and he definitely left me like wanting more. Like, I wanted so much more from his character. Not him as an actor, but his character, but I'm gonna get into that. The next thing I loved about this movie was the fact that it was so different. Like, man, this shit was different. There were some times where I was like, oh, this is about to happen, and then 2 seconds later, boom, it happens. But for the most part, I had no idea where Jordan Peele was going with this. And that's something you can always count on with Jordan Peele. He is going to give you something original. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but guaranteed it's gonna be something you haven't seen before, and I will always applaud him for that. I also really love the history of the ranch being based off of Edward Muybridge's clip of the black man on the horse. I definitely didn't know the full story behind the clip. I do vaguely remember seeing it in one of the film classes I took several years ago. Super cool to see real history, real black history, real black film history tied into this movie. And with one of the themes of this movie being the erasure of black history, especially in cinema, it was just really nice to be reminded of some of the contributions we've made to this industry. But overall, my favorite thing about this movie was Jupe's storyline. He hands down was the most interesting thing about this movie. Don't argue with me. And I really wish that he lasted longer in this movie. He was a kid actor on a sitcom called Gordy's Home where they were filming a scene and an animal stunt went horribly wrong. There was a chimpanzee named Gordy who freaked out after hearing some balloons pop, and while Jupe was hiding under a table, he watched the chimp go crazy and attack his castmates. She was the chick in the wheelchair with her face covered. She was wearing a sweater from the show, and when the wind blows her veil, we see her face messed up from what Gordy did. In the flashback from Gordy's home, when Jupe is hiding under the table, the chimp actually notices him, and we see something in the chimp's eyes that make us feel like he's not actually gonna harm the little boy. In fact, we see him about to give Jupe a fist bump, which sounds weird if you haven't seen the movie, but then the people come in, they shoot the monkey in the head, the blood splatters all over the little boy. He clearly is traumatized and he clearly needs therapy. As an adult, he is obsessed with that particular experience and even has this weird shrine room that he charges people to see or even spend the night in. And now he knows this freaky alien thing is hovering around and literally makes a show out of it, claiming that it chose him and he can communicate with it. And although he was gone too soon, RIP to the homie Jupe, he was definitely the most complex character, had the wildest backstory, and definitely left us, or at least me, wanting to know way more about him. And I've heard a few people say that they don't get why his story was important and they feel like the monkey scenes were kind of unnecessary, and I'm gonna touch on that in a little bit, but honestly, without his storyline and without those scenes, I feel like this movie would have been kind of dry. I also wish we saw more interactions between Jupe and the siblings, especially because he was connected to them for cynical reasons, like he was buying their horses to feed to the alien, which OJ named Jean Jacket. But what made his story so compelling, outside of the obvious, was that just those few scenes gave us so much information and backstory on why Jupe is the way he is, as opposed to what information is given to us about the other main characters. We see Jupe develop almost a god complex from thinking that because the chimp spared him, he has some type of divine power that allows him to connect and communicate with larger, more powerful creatures. Thus thinking that Jean Jacket wouldn't harm him and would treat him differently than the animals and the people that he was feeding it, when in reality the chimp probably didn't hurt him when he was a kid because the tablecloth was covering his eyes and probably didn't feel threatened by him. But now let me tell you why I just wasn't feeling it. First off, it felt like too many ideas with not enough connection or explanation. I understand that Jordan Peele left a lot of stuff up for interpretation, but I feel like some of the main characters just didn't have enough of a backstory or enough detail for us to really connect with them. With Emerald, OJ's little sister, she maybe mentioned having a daughter or a girlfriend, maybe she's gay. How long has she been estranged from the family? How intense is her disconnect from the family? Clearly she was good at giving the safety lecture, which OJ completely failed at. How long was she doing that before she disconnected from the family business? We have OJ, who's more comfortable around the horses than he is the people. He's pretty disconnected from the outside world, hence the flip phone. Then there's a moment where Emerald is in the house and she's looking at a picture of this woman, and I'm like, is this her mom? Did she pass away? Between the two of them, it just felt like their relationship was missing narrative. I don't know, I just wish we had a better understanding of the family dynamic so we could connect with the characters better. And it isn't like there wasn't time. The movie was 2 hours long and we spent like a whole hour setting up cameras. Like, that's all I'm saying. Something else that bothered me was the scene where the kids in the alien costumes were hiding out in the stable trying to scare OJ. That was one of the creepiest scenes of the movie. And I'm not bothered about that scene. I love that scene. What bothers me is that the tingly, freaky, creepy, uneasy feeling that you get while watching that scene isn't carried out throughout the movie. The audience was definitely the most responsive to that scene. Like, everybody was in there watching that part like, nope. And while that clearly wasn't the type of horror thriller that Jordan Peele was going for, I just really wish that that energy was carried out throughout the movie more. I wish there were more scenes that had me like, nope, in the movie. And the last thing I'm gonna say about this movie that I wasn't really feeling is just the alien itself. I thought it was really dope that you think it's a flying saucer and then you find out that it's a living creature. I'm sorry, it just looked like a flying mushroom with a vagina and I just couldn't get with it. And then it transforms into a flying jellyfish with a vagina and I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, what's happening here? Now, I do want to talk about some of the symbolism I found in this movie and hopefully give you guys some kind of explanation, because I know a lot of people left this movie like, the fuck did I just see? I think the reason we see the aliens start out looking so plain but then transform as the movie intensifies is because it literally is a living creature that learns and adapts. It starts with being cautious, lurking within the cloud that doesn't move, which was really cool, I might add, but soon realizes, pretty much because of Jupe, that the more people pay attention to it and makes a spectacle of it, the more powerful it becomes, which is why it transforms and becomes more beautiful. It wants to be seen, it wants people to look at it so it can become a more powerful, more deadly version of itself. And who knows how long Jupe has been interacting or feeding the alien, but clearly he's felt comfortable enough to start having public shows and cocky enough to have that shit sewn on the back of his suit jacket. Like, bruh. Just like animals being held in captivity, their handlers tend to feel like they're above falling victim to the animal's natural instinct just because they're feeding it and taking care of it. And for Jupe, this was kind of a double entendre, because not only was he an example of every person who's ever been harmed or killed during an animal performance, but he was also a literal metaphor for being chewed up and spit out. Once by Hollywood as a child star, because clearly he didn't transition into adult stardom that well, or else he wouldn't be running some rinky-dink carnival. But again, because the alien literally eats people and spits out all the garbage it can't digest. Now, the whole "it won't kill you if you don't look it in its eyes" notion that OJ discovered can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. It's been established that this movie is about spectacle culture. It could be saying that when you don't get caught up in the hype, which tends to be inflated bullshit, you tend to be better off emotionally, mentally, and sometimes financially. Hence, OJ constantly tells people not to look his horse Lucky in the eye, and what do you know? You're lucky if you don't look the alien in the eye, because boom, you won't get eaten. And we also get a taste of spectacle culture from another perspective with with the TMZ guy. I'm pretty sure none of us felt bad for the TMZ guy. Like, I bet most of us were like, OJ, why are you helping this dude? Like, get the fuck out of there. And in a way, they kind of are our first direct connecting line to spectacle culture, because they're photographing, videotaping, and reporting on things that kind of don't matter, but turning them into a spectacle for profit. But I think Jordan Peele kind of turned the finger back at us by making the TMZ guy's helmet a literal mirror, because while we may not be physically stalking celebrities and hiding out in their bushes, we're kind of doing the same thing through social media. Jordan Peele also slid a lot of pop culture references into this movie. Like, I mean, OJ, he's riding off in a horse, a Bronco, kind of self-explanatory, and I'm here for it. Or all of the graphic tees, there was a lot of pop culture references within those, but I'm not about to list off all of that. Another reference, which was definitely the biggest one, was Mary Jo being attacked by the chimp from Gordy's home. That was a direct reference to the woman who was attacked by her friend's chimpanzee, who was then interviewed by Oprah. Literally, the way her face was covered, her veil, the hat, was nearly identical to the woman who was interviewed by Oprah. Another one I thought was interesting was Jordan Peele using Fry's Electronics as their go-to store in this movie. Like, Fry's doesn't even exist anymore, and if you don't know what Fry's is, you're probably not from California. But some of the Fry's locations would have very dramatic decorative exteriors, like an alien crashing into the exterior of the building, which is what we see in this movie. More symbolism that I found in this movie that could have a deeper meaning was the cloud. It could be saying that the aliens are watching us from the clouds. That could be a reference to Close Encounters. It could also be symbolic for the cloud that's holding all of our information. It could be saying that we're so engrossed in spectacle culture that we're not paying attention to the fact that we're being watched and that we're constantly under surveillance. Another symbolic or ending explain moment is whether or not OJ survived. I honestly don't think he did. I think him appearing on the horse was like a vision by Emerald and was kind of saying that his spirit was watching over her. But I'm assuming he did die because of the sign over his head that said out yonder, which kind of sounds like it's saying that he's further away than he seems. But you know, I think it was just meant to be left up to interpretation. The last symbolic thing that I found in this movie, why was Mary Jo's shoe pointing straight up? On the set of Gordy's home, one of Mary Jo's shoes was perfectly and inexplicably balanced, pointing straight up. It's surrounded by chaos and destruction. The chimp is running wild, and somehow it's just still balanced, pointing straight up with nothing but a drop of blood on it. There's no clear explanation for it in the movie, and nobody ever explains why it's like that, but you do see it again in Jupe's office in a display case. The only interpretation that I can think of is the phrase waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm pretty sure most of us have heard that phrase and know what it means, but basically means that you're waiting for something chaotic or wild that you know is gonna happen. And while you may not know exactly what's gonna happen, you just know that when it does, it's gonna be dramatic. And maybe, just maybe, because that shoe never fell, Jupe took that as a sign that he is somehow spared or exempt from that level of chaos. He held onto that shoe not only as a memento of the most traumatic experience of his life, but also kept it as some kind of like lucky rabbit's foot or good luck charm. Now, after watching this movie, I actually went back and rewatched Us, and unintentionally I found some interesting connections and parallels and themes between these two movies. Now, first off, Jordan Peele has this thing with monkeys, and maybe that's why his company is called Monkey Paw Productions. I don't know. Like, the use of monkeys in Nope were pretty obvious, like the costumes that the kids were wearing trying to scare OJ in the stable, and the toys that they have on display at Jupiter's Claim all look like monkeys. But they also look eerily similar to the costume that the little boy was wearing in Us. And trust me, I'm not calling the little black boy a monkey, like, don't even go there. But the way he was moving and the noises he was making and the mannerisms were definitely very monkey-like. Like, you can't even deny it. And maybe I'm bugging or I'm reaching, but even the cameras on the TV set of Gordy's home looked kind of like the monkey alien heads that they had all throughout the park. And I heard people saying that they don't see the connection between Gordy and the alien, but the alien is literally Gordy on a bigger scale. Jordan Peele is literally showing us an exaggerated version of what we've seen throughout history of people holding animals in captivity and making them perform for profit. It's Siegfried and Roy. It's the woman who got dragged by her hair by a killer whale who also killed 2 other trainers, I might add. They were using Gordy for profit, weren't handling him properly. He went crazy, mauled everybody, ate a girl's face, and splattered blood everywhere. They tried to use the alien for profit. They pissed it off. It ate everybody. It puked blood all over the house. Like, it was literally raining blood. Like, how do y'all not see the connection? And that's why the aliens in Jupe's theme park resemble monkeys. Clearly, he has unprocessed trauma from the Gordy's home incident, but he literally sees the alien the same way he saw Gordy. Another connection between Nope and Us, there's a moment where the little brother and sister actually give each other a fist bump in Us, and obviously you see that in Nope, and there was actually a failed attempt at this in Get Out. Now this one I don't even think people would notice, and I actually had to look it up to confirm, but in Nope, when I saw them eating at a fish spot, I was thinking, y'all live deep in the valley, like your seafood is probably disgusting as hell. So then I had to look up, I think it was Agua Dulce, and I was like, oh, that's actually not that far from the water. But then when I rewatched Us, and I was like, wait, that's the same place from Nope. So who knows, maybe Jordan Peele's trying to create his own creepy MCU where everything connects. I mean, shit, the film documentary dude's name was Antlers, and in Get Out, he kills the dad with the deer's antlers. So I mean, just saying. I might really be reaching on that one, but don't underestimate Jordan Peele's genius and my ability to interpret it. But all in all, I just wish Nope was scarier or more suspenseful or gave me more of a haunting, aw shit, nope kind of feeling. Outside of the symbolism and the metaphors, I just kind of felt underwhelmed with the actual entertaining aspect of the movie. I feel like once they realized what the alien was, the movie did just kind of drag a little bit. I think OJ and Emerald's characters were a bit underdeveloped, and I think Jupe's character was very underutilized, and I low-key would love to see like a spin-off or a little limited mini-series about him, because I think his character's complexities were very apparent, but they just weren't expanded on enough for me. The scenes from Gordy's home were some of the most subtle ways to convey horror that I've seen in a while. It gave so much edge to Jupe's character, and I think it's the only thing that really gave edge to this movie at all. I'm here for the movies that make you think and make you want to dissect its meanings. I'm here for the references and the odes and nods to cinematic history. But as a movie to simply watch for entertainment purposes, it just doesn't do it for me. I love you, Jordan Peele. You're one of my favorite screenwriters and directors, but based off of everything I said, I'm gonna have to rate this movie like a 2.5 out of 5. Let me know what you guys think. Share your thoughts below, and thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe.